Hello and welcome back to the Eyes of O Gaming channel. Thank you so much for joining me here today. So today we're going to do a sort of a review rant. It's going to be a little bit different than what I normally do in that typically when I do reviews, they're for games that have been out for a few years. I tend to stay away from the very new release stuff or even the more mainstream things. Usually sticking to games that are a little bit more niche or something that just doesn't have the same exposure as the really popular mainstream things. Like, I'm going to stay away from things like a Fortnite or even Minecraft. Minecraft's been out forever, but even though it's an older game, I wouldn't do a review on it because everybody knows Minecraft. So I try to stick to games that are a little bit more niche. I think the most mainstream games that I've actually showcased or done reviews on are probably Mafia or maybe Metro. I'm not sure what's more popular, to be honest, but I would think probably Mafia, but I would think that Metro is better received. That being said, this review is going to be totally out of my norm. It's not an older game, it's actually brand new. And I'm not sure if it's really that mainstream. I think it's been getting quite a bit of media attention, maybe just because it's a newer game, but seems to be out there quite a bit. So we're going to take a look at Outriders, and I just have a couple of things to get out of the way before we jump into this. So with this review, I am doing this from the perspective of someone who's playing solo. Now I know there's a lot of emphasis on multiplayer or co-op game modes in this game, but I'm a solo player. I play by myself, so I'm doing it from the perspective of a solo player. This is my interpretation of it. Another thing that I wanted to get out of the way right away is this is going to be very subjective. Now most of my reviews I just try to show like what the mechanics are, what the game is, and let you make your own kind of decision on it, giving some opinion at the end, but mostly just a more objective look at the game itself. This one, I'm not scripting it, I'm just doing a rant. I'm gonna talk about the game and what I thought about it and my impressions and all that kind of thing. And the last thing that I want to make clear is that this review is not a full game review. I'm only reviewing based on the demo. Now that might sound a little weird, basing a review on a demo. However, I did put in, I think, about 3-4 hours worth of gameplay into that demo, which is just crazy. Like, I've never had, or at least I can't remember, a demo that's gone on that long. So, really hats off to those guys. That was crazy. It was amazing. I wish all demos were like that. So that being said, let's jump into it. Like I was saying, I'm just going to do kind of a rant here. I'm not really doing a scripted, this is all the mechanics of the game, this is what to expect, blah, blah, blah. Just going to give my really basic kind of opinion on what I thought of it. But to get a couple of things out of the way, this is the game itself was developed by People Can Fly, which is a studio that I cannot think of any other games that they've made. And the publisher is Square Enix, which is a pretty well-known studio, and I'm sure people know who they are. The game itself is an RPG, it's in third person, and there's a huge emphasis on combat, shooting, and the sort of more psychic powers, I guess you could call it. But it's definitely a combat focused game. Now, right in the beginning, what you're going to have to do, which is a little bit annoying, at least for the demo, is make an account with Square Enix. So I had started up the game, I was excited to give it a try. The trailer looked really cool, so I wanted to try that out. And I was prompted to make an account, and I had to stop and log out, go into my computer, and set all that up. So that was a little bit annoying. Not a huge deal, just kind of an inconvenience, frustration type thing. Once you do that, you get to do character customization, which I actually thought was pretty cool. There could always be more options. That's with any kind of customization, but it wasn't bad. You flip through, there's different hairstyles, different skin tones, all the normal stuff that you would expect in that. And the characters do look pretty good, I thought. I have no complaints with the graphics, especially for the NPCs, and the environments look really good once we get into that, and you'll see as well in the gameplay here. So once you finish customization, you jump into the game, you go into pretty much a tutorial mission, which takes place. You're headed to this new planet. Earth has collapsed. It's basically everybody needs to get out of there. So you're going to this new planet. You're gonna seed life in what I guess they were hoping was going to be like a new utopia planet type thing. And it seems to be going well at first. Everyone is really positive. They're setting up their base camp. They're kind of allocating jobs, that sort of thing. Everything seems to be going really well, and you sort of feel like you know how the game is going to play out. It almost has like a vibe like the Mass Effect Andromeda, I guess you could say. At least that's the feeling that I got. Like you're finding this new bastion of hope for humans and trying to find a new place to live. So it really gave me that Mass Effect Andromeda feeling, but it was really like everyone was super pumped and new and exploring and all that kind of thing. And then basically what happens is there's a crazy guy who just kind of goes nuts and you have to hunt him down, and you get into a initial sort of battle with him and his loyal people. So that ends up being like your tutorial essentially for figuring out how to do basic combat and all that kind of thing. And then what happens is your character, he gets frozen and you're sent forward into the future a bunch of years. And that's when things really change in this game. So then you go from this sort of happy exploration, really kind of unique sort of Star Trek, explore, boldly go where no one has gone before, brave new worlds, that sort of kind of feeling. And then you're in sci-fi Mad Max essentially. And it's chaos. Everyone is at each other's throats. They're all trying to kill each other. It doesn't really feel like there's like a real government or that the people are unified in any way. They're all just sort of killing each other and taking what each other has, right? And this was actually kind of my first disappointment in that I really enjoyed the tutorial sort of vibe. Like, I thought it was going to be really fun that way, but I understand why they went this route, and I don't blame them for it. And it was neat to go from that, like, super excited, explorative to, oh my god, everything is destroyed. Like, that was cool. I'll give them that. It was just like, oh no, I kind of wanted to do this other game, essentially, and then now you're presented with this brand new game. So that's okay. We jump into this, and you pretty much get driven out and dropped, and then you have to fight your way to the other side. So there's different factions. You're dropped off, and you're in the war zone essentially of these two factions, and you push through and fight your way to this other faction. And once you get there, it turns out that the people who are running that faction are actually the people that you knew just before you got frozen. So it's a lot of the old, kind of the old guard, right? Like they're the people who were in the science group that was actually trying to map out and figure out what or where to go and how to colonize this new planet. And it's also revealed to you that you're stuck in this valley, so you can't get out. You're stuck there, and there's all this crazy stuff going on that it's like weather patterns, I guess. But they're not like what we would consider a normal extreme weather. Like these can be not only just really deadly, really lethal, but they can also transform you into essentially like this psychic being, sort of like a mutant from X-Men or something. And you get all these powers and different stuff. And that's actually what happened to your character as well. So you end up with these powers, and you're fighting others with these kind of powers, and it's just like a bunch of crazy fighting and shooting and throwing whatever psychic power you have at others. And along with that, there is some choice in different classes and that sort of thing in order to see what you want to play as. And that'll affect what powers you have, right? What you can actually choose from. So all in all, like it's neat in that you have this interesting RPG. It's an interesting background. It's a neat storyline which is going on. and then we look at the actual gameplay. Now the gameplay itself, it's not bad, but I only played the demo. I didn't play the full game, obviously, just like the 3-4 hour long demo, and I got incredibly bored while playing it. So I couldn't imagine playing through the entire game. Like the gameplay itself, every single mission felt exactly the same. Like there was no, I didn't feel like there was any different. It was essentially, run to this area and then you jump from cover to cover and you just shoot. But it just, every gunfight felt exactly the same. And then you fight these really overpowered demon things, which are the characters that also have the powers. And at least it does give you something a little bit different to do, but it wasn't enough. Like it just didn't have that something, right? It just feels very, I don't even know what the word is, if generic is even correct. But basically, I just found the combat to get really boring really fast. And maybe as you continue on, like if you get farther into the game, you unlock more skills, more abilities, that sort of thing. As they introduce more enemies, maybe it gets more interesting. But really, from what I saw in the first 3-4 hours, wow, I was so incredibly bored. Like the first gunfight when you're traveling from the first faction that you get picked up with after you're thawed out essentially, and then you're fighting to the other faction, that was fun because it was new. And then the next mission you do, it's like the exact same thing, and then the next one you do, it's the exact same thing, and it wore on me really quickly and just got really boring really fast to me. Aside from that, I thought that the overall story was really cool, like the kind of background for what was going on and what was happening. Aside from the overall story though, the individual kind of mission stories were kind of meh. They weren't really anything interesting. They seemed pretty bland, I guess you could say. I don't know what it is. Like, it feels like this game had a lot of potential and could have been really great, but it's just sort of bland. I don't know how else to say it. It has no anything to really keep me interested, and I really could not see myself picking up this game and playing through the whole campaign. I think I would just be bored and it would be a real slog to get through the whole thing. Does that mean every gamer who picks this up would be bored playing through it? No, of course not. It's just my own opinion on it. And if you're really into shooters, if you're really into like games that are really focused on using a cover system, and you're just cover to cover to cover, popping out, shoot, cover, pop out, shoot, cover, pop out, shoot, over and over and over, then you'll probably love this game, because that's literally all you do in it, is just you jump from cover to cover and pop out quickly and shoot. And that's it. That's the whole game. You walk to your quest giver, they give you a quest, you go to the zone, and then you just do pop out, shoot, pop out, shoot, pop out, shoot. Compared to like RPGs that I really enjoy. So if we want to do like a direct comparison, like most of the RPGs I play are probably fantasy games, but if we're doing a direct like shooter or futuristic, that kind of thing, Mass Effect. Mass Effect was an amazing RPG. It had crazy character development, storyline was amazing. You're traveling to unique locations, missions are varied, you're not just doing the same thing. And realistically, they did do a lot of shooting and cover and that sort of thing, but they kept it interesting. Like you're always doing different things, and the missions feel different, and you get really invested in what's going on. It's not just go to this zone and shoot everybody and collect your reward. Like the way they do it, it's like 1 + 1 + 1. Whereas Mass Effect, it just had some more life to it, right? Like you're feeling like you're part of this universe rather than just collect the loot, press this button. It just lacks that sort of life that makes a great game, in my opinion. Now, I think where this game could really shine is in the co-op, and I think that's what they really are leaning heavily into in this game, and that's what they want people to do. But that being said, I, one, didn't have anyone that I knew who had the demo that wanted to play this in co-op with me. And two, I don't really like to play games online with other people. It's kind of weird, but especially like an RPG where like, to me, an RPG is a little bit more personal and should be a more personal experience. I don't want to play that with some random person. Maybe like if it's a friend of mine, okay, yeah, sure, we can game through that. But I mean, like, I feel like there's an emphasis even on doing like an online co-op with some random person, and I don't know, I just can't get into that. Like, the only thing that I've ever kind of enjoyed online, random people, that sort of thing, is like Call of Duty Zombies or something, where, you know, sometimes you can get a good group of people and you smash through stuff and you have a lot of fun. But I'm not into the deathmatch stuff. I'm not into the battle royale stuff. I'm not into this sort of system where you're trying to do an RPG and then you're going to be paired up with some random person who's going to be running around really killing your immersion. And that's what it's all about. Like, for me, an RPG should be about immersion, getting into what the game is and just really enjoying that. And I didn't get that from Outriders. So does that mean you shouldn't get it? No, of course not. If this looks like a game that you're interested in, you know, give it a shot. Try the demo. The demo is crazy. It's super long for a demo, and you can really learn a lot from that. And who knows, maybe if you really enjoy that, you should just go ahead and pick up the game. But for me, I can't get into it. That's my impression. My first impression, I guess you could say, on the game. Let's call it that. We'll call this video a first impression, not a review. And yeah, so that's about all I have for this rant today. And like I said, this is a little bit weird, I know, and I hope that everyone is okay with this sort of style for looking at this demo. Again, it's a weird thing for my channel, but I just thought I would share my thoughts on it and see what other people are thinking about it, and maybe start a discussion on Outriders, and we'll go from there. Other than that, I'm working on a couple of other videos. I've got another game review, 2 game reviews actually in the works right now, and some other stuff. I'm gonna get a Skyrim video up right away here as well. If anyone is following that series, I apologize. It's been so long since I posted that. It's weird. I thought that it'd be easier to do multiple different video series, but it kind of pushes back some of them, and I feel bad for that. But anyway, I'm gonna get that Skyrim video up soon. So I hope that this rant was slightly entertaining, if nothing else. And I would really like to hear your guys' thoughts on it and get a discussion going. But thank you so much for watching today, and please do consider giving me a like if you did find this interesting or entertaining, and also consider subscribing to the channel. Definitely inspires me to keep going with making more content, with everyone subscribing and generally seeming to be really supportive and enjoying the content that I'm posting and uploading, and I really do appreciate all of you guys. So thank you for watching, and until next time, take care.